All right. Hello.
Hey.
Today we have Sarah Weitzmann. Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
All right. As a performer yourself, how did you get started doing like comedy or plays? And because you write your own plays, right?
Yes.
Okay. How did you get involved doing that?
Well, I've been acting and specifically interested in comedic acting for as long as I can remember. I began acting when I was like 4 years old. And from the get-go, I was like put in a box as kind of being a funny character actress type of a thing. And then I went to NYU and I got into writing comedy. And that's when I began making like one-woman plays and these kind of like pseudo stand-up set, but theatrical show kind of combinations. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So you started all this in college. You didn't do
Yes.
anything beforehand.
Well, yeah. Beforehand, I was in like Les Mis. I was in like I played the funny role in Les Mis. Like I did comedy, but it wasn't my own brand of comedy at all. That was
gotcha.
developed in uni.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. What was like the first show, the first play you ever like writ for yourself?
Good question. For myself, it was called Stand Up to Murder. And it was a stand-up. The challenge was to go from a stand-up show to like a horror show, basically. And I wanted to see if I could get that trajectory smoothly. So
How
I
did
wrote
that
a
go?
stand-up show where like I had to be like brutally murdered at the end, and that was like my first comedic piece, like half an hour long.
The crowd didn't expect the murder, right?
The crowd
That was
did
kind of
not
like the
expect the
twist.
murder.
How
But it
did
was
that-
a resounding success. It's
Yeah?
to this day probably the best thing I've ever made.
Critical reception.
Yeah.
Nice. That's the best thing you peaked at your first performance.
Yeah, well, it was
Oh.
it was in senior year. It was right before the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to blame my more recent failures on the pandemic.
Well, you started in your senior year of college doing performing.
Yeah, like I started making my own shows in senior year.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're in a podcast right now, Cancel Culture
Yes.
Podcast. It's gotten some like pretty good
We
guests.
had Jim O'Hare on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Shut your fat mouth, all of you. All you fucking fat pieces of
This confrontation can cancel your career.
That was
So
exciting.
it seems to be going well. How did you get linked up with the rest of the crew?
Well, so I was in school with Jamie, the like producer of the podcast. Her dad is in the comedy world, Evan Shapiro. He worked like National Lampoon, all sorts of things. And then she just reached out one day and was like, my dad's looking to produce a podcast. I know you're writing. I think you'd be good for it. And that was that. The rest is history. And then I met Elena, the other member of the podcast. We just began working with each other. We were colleagues before we were friends.
Interesting. Okay, so all just kind of just happened. They just hit you up one day.
Yeah.
How did you know? You said you went to school with Jamie. How did you know Jamie beforehand? Why did they reach
Yeah.
out to you?
Because I did the one stand-up show I've done, like the traditional stand-up show was I did like a 5-minute set again for her, like, she's a production company called Executive Witches. Yeah.
Interesting name.
And yeah, and they did like a show which they invited me on to do like a stand-up bit. And I did that, and then the dad saw it and he liked me.
All right, so it kind of just fell apart. Not fell apart, but
Kind of
just,
fell together.
There we
if
go. That's the right
anything.
word. Yeah, I'm good at talking, people. So this is your first time, like, obviously you've met them before in person, but like working like together. This is your first time like doing an episode together, then?
Yeah, like riffing and like looking into their eyes and stuff. Yeah.
Really? Okay, because the chemistry seemed to be there. It seemed like you guys have been doing this for a while.
That's
then.
very kind.
Yeah, that worked out well then.
Thank you.
Yeah. So do you guys have any other things lined up for the future, or?
Good question. Well, season 2 is about to be wrapped up any day now. And then in terms of other live shows in the works, I don't know.
Nothing's on the table yet.
Nothing's on the table yet.
Okay. That's
Maybe
good to know.
if New York Comedy Fest wants us again next year.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other plans for your stuff? Are you working on any play? Are you working on? Because I know you're working on Shrek with your class.
Yeah, well, fuck that. Right now I'm working. What am I working on? I have a few different things that I'm interested in doing.
Yeah?
All are half baked though.
Tell me them.
Do you want to know?
Give me a little pitch. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm starting a new blog called How Are They Really Doing? It's an interview blog where I interview up and coming like downtown writers or downtown like musicians, things like that. And I ask them like very intimate interview questions. I'll kind of be like, on the outside, they appear to be like a Prada wearing socialite who frequents this place and this place, but how are they really doing? And I'm going to ask them what I really want to know about them.
I think it's a great idea, especially with like, you know, social media is today. Everybody just shows the good side of things.
Yes. But also people have this desire, I think, to get like, people love to divulge, you know?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you can't do that because when people do divulge too much, like on social media, I kind of just like, why are you doing
exactly.
that? Yeah,
But
like
if I give people a forum to do it,
yeah,
it's
that's like
kind
the
of
format. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, that'd be definitely really
that's
interesting.
number one.
Yeah.
And then I want to make a cartoon. I want to make an animation. So I've been learning how to draw. I've recently begun piano lessons because I want to be able to make some like comedy kind of improv songs. I'm just trying to kind of work on other pursuits to pad out my own artistic process. Because right now I have a lot of ideas, but I don't know how to put them into action. I don't have the skills.
Yeah, it looks like you're gonna be like a little jack of all trades, though. So
Yes.
that's exciting. Gonna hone your craft, pick your craft, and
I'm gonna hone my craft.
yeah. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. That was fun.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Well, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
7 minutes.
That's perfect.
Canceled.
Canceled. Canceled.
Canceled.
Cancel.
Canceled. Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Cancel.
Culture.
Podcast.